Hello and welcome to the August 2022 episode of the Seagull. The Seagull is the place to stay up to date on everything you need to know about the 102nd Intelligence Wing at Otis Air National Guard Base, right here from beautiful Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I'm Tim Sandlin from Public Affairs, and I will get you up to speed on what's going on here at the Wing. This month's show features an interview with Rodney Norman, an inspiring comedian and former U.S. Marine. Rodney talks about his path to social media stardom and some of the life lessons that the service imparted on him that he uses in daily life. Later, we will get a clip from this month's Chevrons. But first, in this month's command message, we hear from Colonel Sean Riley, commander of the 102nd Intelligence Wing. Colonel Riley shares his thoughts regarding his line of effort to establish the 102nd as a unit of choice and the intention to continue developing the wing as a high-performing organization.
Greetings, I'm Colonel Sean Riley, commander of the 102nd Intelligence Wing, and it is my privilege to deliver this month's command message. For August, I would like to talk about my line of effort to establish the 102nd as a unit of choice. The intent of this LOE is to continue developing the wing as a high-performing organization, a unit that people are actively seeking to join and continue serving with long after they have. So what makes organizations high-performing? Well, we can look at the wing in comparison to a football team to help define some of the factors that drive organizational performance. A high-performing football team starts with coaching. At the wing, we would look at our leadership. Are we looking at the big picture? And are we considering what's going to happen in the future? Next is player talent. For the 102nd, do we have a diverse and inclusive population that we can draw from? What's Sunday's game plan? How do we win the game? At the wing, are we trained to perform both our state and federal missions? Player health. What is the culture of our wing? Does everyone feel like they can participate? And finally, utilization of players. How well do we employ our squadrons, flights, and shops to get the mission done? So based on an understanding of these factors, we need to start measuring how well does the 102nd practice psychological safety, the shared belief that other members of the unit will not dismiss or embarrass someone for speaking up and sharing their ideas. According to a 2017 Gallup poll, over 30% of employees felt that their ideas did not count in the workplace. Do we truly embrace airman development, investing in all members of the wing, focusing on leadership skills in addition to core AFSC requirements, so we can build the future leaders that are needed to serve at the wing, state, and national levels? And finally, are we encouraging process improvement at all levels of the organization, from newly assigned airmen just returning from 3-level training to our Title V and state employees and managers, supervisors, and leaders at all levels? It's really okay to fail fast, take what we have learned, and avoid making the same mistake in the future. Ensuring we focus on what it takes to be a high-performing organization, the right culture, investing in our people, and continuing to innovate and improve will ensure we are a unit of choice and allow us to attract and retain high-caliber airmen remaining ready, reliable, and relevant in the future. Well, there's still a few more weeks of summer, so stay healthy and safe and try to find some time to relax with family and friends. Looking ahead, the Eagle's Nest will have their barbecue and bands event on Saturday of the August drill. Family Day is back and is scheduled for Sunday of the September drill, and our military ball is Saturday of the November drill. Thank you and take care.
Next up, we proudly present a very special interview. Join Technical Sergeant Jay Whitaker and I as we sit down with social media sensation Rodney Norman. You may have seen Rodney before. He is a comedian, philosopher, and self-identified joy sparker. And beyond all that, he is also a former United States Marine. We got to spend some time with Rodney and learn how he uses his military experience to achieve and maintain a positive and uplifting life.
We are here in studio. I got Tim.
Hey.
and this is Tech Sergeant Jay Whitaker. I'm happy to be here with a good friend. This is a very fun day for us, Tim.
A very fortuitous day.
Yeah, because we were in the office. We were in the office, and you came in very excited. You came out.
This is like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and you.
So I was running across Instagram, and a very funny and inspiring gentleman popped in my feed on Instagram, and I was like, hey, check this guy out, and he's fantastic. Been sharing him with all my friends and family, and you said,
I was like, oh, that's Rodney. That's exactly what I said. I was like, yeah, that's Rodney. I know him. And
you know Rodney?
Yeah, I know Rodney. And I was like, he's a great comedian. I know him from my time in Utah, and I was like, maybe we could probably get him on the show. I know he has a military background. Maybe we could. Let me holler at him real quick, and then
as it were to turn out, Rodney, you've got a gig up here in Mashpee.
Yeah, tonight.
Like really? I mean, I just want to introduce you, Rodney Norman. Thanks for coming on.
Well, it is an absolute honor and a privilege to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yes, when I got the message from Jay, I was like, "Oh, wow! Hey, Jay's still talking to me."
Listen,
this is awesome.
Don't go there. Don't go there. You're the one that blew up and got TikTok famous. You got like what?
Yeah.
You got TikTok famous, Instagram famous, Facebook famous. For those who are not familiar with Rodney, he's all over social media. You might see him in the background of a desert or a salt flat or a snowbank, and just giving you some uplifting messages to just get you through the day. And the last time we were together was Denver. We were at the Denver Comedy Comedy Works last year. So
the Dry Bar show.
The Dry Bar show. Yes, and also he's got a Dry Bar special. Please watch it and stream it. And check that out. But this happened to just be, for those who don't know, Rodney and I go way back, at least since before
I think my first I remember we opened for Patrice O'Neill.
Yep, yeah, that Patrice O'Neill, a great Boston comedian. Rest in peace. If you know Boston comedy, you have to know Patrice O'Neill. And that was like our first time working together. I was like 6 months in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no jokes. I had nothing. I was just hosting, and I went up there and did something lame, and then I was like, oh, I should just quit. And then and then you go up and just light it up, and I was like, all right, well, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But you've always honestly, and I mean this, when I started out doing stand up, I'm in the Air Force. I'm now doing comedy, and then I meet you, who have a background in the Marines, and you would always kind of jab me for not being a Marine, but it's hey, I got flat feet, I got potato feet, Rodney. What am I gonna do?
Marine Corps, we can't take everybody.
Okay, all right. But you kind of coached me. You kind of for those who don't know, he's when we're in Utah together, he's kind of like a godfather of comedy there. You are a guide.
I have my moments.
Yeah, you are a guide, though, and a great mentor in that aspect. And you kind of help me understand working in military-type material as well as just navigating being a
how to make your material so the civilians know what you're talking about.
Because you could be up there and be like, so my AFSC is this, and I've been working on track 170s my whole career. No one's gonna understand that, but sometimes you have to break it down, and so you kind of help me with explain that jargon. But when Tim came in, very excited about just your content that you've been putting out, and we speak about the mission that we have here at the Intel Wing. We have a lot of people in this wing that were very overworked,
stressful. It's a stressful
absolutely
stressful job. Just even being in the military, there's all kinds of stressors involved with military service. But then you take the individual jobs, and it can ratchet up a little bit. So, one of the things that we try to do around here is bolster resiliency, and so that's always in the forefront of my mind. And like I started in the open, when I saw your content, I'm like, this guy is just, it's a ray of sunshine, and I look forward to the posts because it just makes my day. If I'm having a down day, it makes my day. If I'm having an up day, it just makes it even better.
Oh, thank you.
It's fun. It's been fun to watch because I remember sitting. Turn off your phone. Really?
I'm so sorry.
Really?
I'm so sorry.
Anyways,
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, you're one of those people that can't get away. He's already getting his book and his next gig right now. But when I came across your content, it was just hysterical because a lot of people were at home quarantined due to COVID.
Yeah.
And so could you talk about, just speak on like where you started the pivot, just understanding social media, understanding just going into that positive phase of your life, where you wanted to reach others.
Yeah, well, like anything, especially, one thing I learned, and everyone should learn in the military, was that adapt and overcome. Yeah. If one avenue approach isn't working, there's always others. And just keeping yourself, flexible.
Yeah. Semper Gumby.
Semper Gumby, exactly. Right. Always is looking for other options, you know. And so when the big C word showed up and everything closed down, I had booked up probably one of the best years of comedy that I had coming. I mean, I was booked almost every weekend.
That's awesome.
For several months out. I mean, things were really starting to happen. And then it comes along and just shuts down everything, as you all are aware.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there at home, nothing to do, and I just thought, well, everybody's online right now.
Yeah.
There's an audience, and this was a character I'd been working on anyway.
Right.
And I thought, let's just lean into it. Let's start having some fun. And so, because, everybody at the time, every comedian or podcast or everything, everybody was just so negative. And, everybody was doing angry posts. And
right. No toilet paper.
Yes. It was everybody just, and I thought, I'm just going the other direction.
Right.
There's no reason for us to be all upset. This isn't the end of the world.
Yeah.
We all wanted it to be.
Yeah, right.
But it wasn't, right? And I knew it. I was like, this is going to come and go like everything else. So we're going to be down 10 years and we're all going to sit back and wonder why we were so upset.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm going to start having some fun with this.
Yeah.
And so I started making the videos. And again, one thing I learned, I tell people in comedy, don't worry about the audience. Just make yourself laugh. Be your own audience.
Right.
And if it makes you laugh and you get up there in front of a group of people and make them laugh because you're laughing, that's it. That's what it is. You're not there to relate to them. You're there to get them to relate to you and your experience.
Exactly.
And so I carried that over into the videos. And really when I'm making a video, I think of just one person. I'm just making it for one person.
Oh, that's smart.
And that person, whatever it is I think that they're going through, I try to find what's the message I want to share with that person. And that's the whole focus when I make a video. It's just that one person who needs to hear this message.
Could you make the next one for me?
Absolutely. And it's just been a lot of fun doing it. Oh, sorry. My hair
just knocked off the headphones.
That's right. They're government issues.
Yeah,
so they're all right.
Speaking of
you
government,
did say he's a Marine, right?
Yeah. Speaking of
some
government
crayons,
issues,
if that'll make you feel better.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. So you open that door, Tim. Now it happens. Now I'm gonna have to take all the slander.
Yes.
While we're at it, orange is my favorite flavor.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, of crayon.
Yes.
We'll stock up for next time.
Oh my goodness. So, all right. So, could you tell us about your time in the Marine Corps?
Oh yeah, it was. Well, okay. First of all, I didn't know anything about the military.
Well, so
I had an uncle who had been in the Marine Corps in Vietnam, and he never talked about it. He wanted nothing to do with it.
I see.
And then I had an uncle, a great uncle who had fought World War II, who was a Marine, and highly decorated. But no, he died just after he came back.
I see. So
I didn't really know anybody who had been in the military. So what I knew about the military was from what I got from watching MASH.
Oh,
You know, and so I had no idea
Yeah.
what was going on. But I go and
When'd you join? Or how old were you?
I went in. I was 21 years old. I
Okay.
joined in January of '91,
All right.
which was the first Gulf War, Desert Storm. I joined because of that. I thought, well, I don't want to get. I just, you know, I felt this was my duty. You know,
Sure,
I joined, and like I said, I had no idea. And the thing is the whole war started and ended the same week I joined boot camp. So it was like it was started and it was over. I was okay. Well, now what do I do? Can I go home now?
well, this military thing is going to be easy.
Yeah. I said, oh, okay. I mean, I was literally in the military at a time when our enemies didn't shoot back.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, wow, it was insane. But you go into boot camp and you know, I just kind of looked at it like I was in a movie.
Sure.
You know, because before you go to boot camp, you go and watch all the, you know,
Absolutely.
Heartbreak Ridge and
Biloxi Blues,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we were talking about Biloxi Blues the other day. Yeah.
oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
And then Full Metal Jacket. That's
Of course,
that's
you gotta-
the big
yeah,
one
you
for,
gotta-
for Marines, and so you're expecting this, you know, this horrible, you know, hard experience. I get there. Probably the most difficult thing for me was to keep from laughing because it was just such a surreal experience. You know,
Right.
you know, just this whole, that this one man is in control of all of us and we have to do exactly what he says, no matter how ridiculous it is. And the more ridiculous they could come up with, they would do it too. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
What? Take us through this ridiculousness.
oh yeah. Oh, I forget. You guys, Air Force, you guys are like, it's like scout camp for you guys. I forget about that.
Here we go. Here we go.
But no, like they yell and scream at you like constantly, you know. And it's interesting to me because the idea behind boot camp is that they completely stress you out all the time.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that is to get you so comfortable with being stressed out that you're never stressed out.
Right.
Is that you're just the chaos and the confusion going on. You know, I remember that the when we got dropped into our actual, you know, first unit, you know, we go in and we meet because when you first get in there, that's like transitionary ones, and then you get dropped to your actual company. And, you know, when they come out, the drone stars come out, they're yelling and screaming, they're pulling your stuff, they're throwing it, you know, we're all getting on our bunks, and then they're putting our stuff in our little box, and then they're foot lockers, and then they're turning it over, and our stuff's scattered all over the place, and then we got to get it and put it together, and then put our bunk back together, and then they get mad at something else and throw everything back out. And you do this for like 4 hours. You're just throwing.
And you're like, I
everybody's
just
stuff.
folded that underwear.
Yes. And you're just throwing everything all over the place, and they're
Yeah.
yelling and screaming at you the entire time, calling you everything you could ever. You know, I mean, they are saying things to you at this point in time, which, according to my mother, are never appropriate.
Right.
You know, and they're just every hot button issue they can
Yeah.
find about you. They're tapping it and hitting you, and it's just complete confusion. At first, you're just like in shock, but after 4 hours of this, you're just like, when's lunch?
Right.
You know, it's like, and it's for when you do that for just over and over again, you finally just I think at some point in time, I think every Marine, and if you're really going to succeed at it, you just kind of learn to just detach yourself from the stress.
Absolutely.
And then you stop stressing, and that's once you get over that part, then it's easy to do your job because
Right.
you're not freaking out about it. You just do what you got to do, the way you got to get it done, however you get it done. And that's a great lesson for anyone in life.
Right.
Right.
And you know, one thing about I love about stand-up comedy is that you've got to be able to get up there in front of an audience and deliver, and you got to be
Just standing there
Focus.
is stressful.
just standing
Yeah.
there. Yeah, you know, most people they would be absolutely. This is the one thing I always keep in mind is the audience. 99% of those people in that audience are scared to death to get up and do what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when you get up there and you kind of show fear, well, they can smell it. and they'll pounce on you, because one, they don't have the guts to do what you're doing.
Right.
But then if you get up there and you don't do it well, it kind of gives them some confidence. It's like, oh yeah, that guy can't do it either.
Right.
You ever
it's kinda
invite
weird.
a heckler up on stage to stand next to you and go, all right, now you go ahead. Here's 5 minutes.
I have, but I haven't. None of them have taken me up on
Yeah,
it.
right.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
usually
imagine
what
not.
happens.
If you really want to do this, come on up.
Yeah.
No, that's what you're for. Yeah, I am. That's what I am here for, and that's what everybody paid to come and see me do this, not
Right.
you.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to help. Oh, you aren't. I don't need your help. I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't. My career isn't based on, hey, can I get some half-drunk idiot to sit in the front row and yell at me? That's not my. I'm sorry, but that's not my career.
Yeah. Well, it's just like you don't. Well, I always try to think of it as like a stand-up comic is like a pilot. They are in the cockpit. The stage is the cockpit. They know how to take off. There might be some turbulence. There might be a smooth ride. You might have a quick layover. I don't know, but you know how to land a plane too. So like you don't bother the pilot when you're a passenger on a plane. You're not bothering the pilot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't go knock on the door.
Right.
Hey, I thought you handled that turbulence kind of
Right.
weak.
You want some critique after the flight. Hey, would you like some critique on your flying?
Yeah,
Yeah. But
you're a little choppy at 20,000 feet. I'll be honest with you.
the almonds that you guys give out, ginger ale was a little flat too as well. It's just
And that reminds me of one of my favorite stories in comedy. I don't know. I was. Do you remember the old West Valley Club?
yeah.
There's where Patrice. So anyway, we were doing a show. We used to do these shows called Sunday Night Specials, and we're starting to bring them back in West.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But this show was it was a showcase of all kind of the real strong local talent, and it was the show you wanted to be on because it was always packed, and it was a go for everything. This was the chance for you if you wanted to experiment with stuff. This was the show to do it, So we had all kinds of. We'd do skits, we'd have music, it was
Even
just
games
crazy,
with
man.
the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just fun. It was
Free
just
for
a
all.
fun show. So I was emceeing, and we had about 7 comics on the show, and afterwards, we're all kind of standing in the lobby area as people are walking by and they're shaking our hands, and you guys are a great show. This was fun, and this one lady comes up and she stops at each comic. She says, "You were so funny. I love this bit about your mother, blah, blah, blah. Next comic, you were so funny. That story about your sister. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, that whole thing about being in a car wash. Oh, just gushing on every single comic." And then she gets to me. I'm last in line. And she looks at me and goes, "My nachos were cold."
That's usually okay. That's usually how comedy is, though. There's always that one. That wants to.
And you still have a chip on your shoulder. Huh?
It was really funny because I was just like, it was one of those moments when she said it, and she was like really serious. I said, "Well, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll talk to the wait staff." "Well, thank you, but it was a nice evening."
Yeah.
And she walks out, and I'm just like. It clicked in my moment, right there in my mind. I was just like, "This is one of the greatest stories ever."
This was probably what 5-6 years ago, probably.
This was it was when we first this was like 2003.
Oh, so now this is a good
Yeah.
this is a good time, and this was I could speak on this because I wasn't a comedian yet. I would go to these Sunday night specials because they had the coupon. And I was a broke airman. I was a broke airman, and we would all pack into like 2 different cars. We'd show up like 12 deep, and we'd see like Scott Bennett on these shows, Todd Johnson, Tim, you obviously, and those were good shows, and it was free entry. All you had to do was buy like 2 drinks, and you're good. It was a 2-drink minimum, and that was it. That was a cheap date.
Sodas were like $2.
Right. That was a cheap airman date at the time. Those were good times. And I eventually watched a few, and I said I could probably do that. So, and here we are.
Yeah, that's the trick is just going and seeing it and going, okay, I can do this.
Right. So now, all right. Going back to your company, were you always the funny guy, or just?
Yeah.
And what was your job?
I was a radio operator.
My man, Calm in the building. What's going on?
It was fun. Well, it was funny because when I first walked into recruiting station, this is a great story. I don't know if you knew this, but the recruiting station for the Marine Corps was in the space next door to where the Wise Guys was in West Valley.
Really? Okay.
It was in that little strip mall.
Right.
It was like where the stage was, the wall behind it.
Right.
That was the Marine Corps Depot, Marine Corps recruiting station that I joined the Marine Corps at.
For our Massachusetts Air National Guard listeners right now, this is real Utah comedy inside baseball right now. So
this was just for him.
Yeah, this is just for me. But you can Google it if you want, but yeah.
Wise Guys, that comedy club?
Yeah, it's a great club. It's where we both started. So, so you went in that recruiting office and you were radio troop.
Yeah, I was. I said, hey, I want to be a chaplain.
Really?
And they said, well, that's great, but you got to be enlisted first before you can become a chaplain. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then they said, well, what are you going into? And I said, oh, well, at the time I was going into broadcasting, radio and TV. I was working on my college degree, so it's like, oh, I'm working on a degree in broadcasting. And they said, oh, well, we'll just put you in communications.
There you go.
I'm like, okay, great. So I went open communications, thinking they were telling me I was going to do this job you guys do. That's exactly what I wanted to do.
Right. Exactly.
And so anyway, my first day in boot camp, one of the first things we do, we were all sitting there in this big, huge room, and this guy from the Navy comes walking out, and you could tell he wasn't a Marine because he was nice. And, he gets up there and he starts telling us about why he's a Navy chaplain. The Marine Corps doesn't have chaplains, that it's an office that's only run by the Navy. So that's how. So that's when I was like, hey, my recruiter lied to me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. And then later on down in, I'll finish this story. This is funny. So there's several thousand of us in this big area, right? And so he gets up there. He's standing in the middle. Got a little stage there, and he's telling us about being a Navy. And if you're a Navy chaplain, if you're stressed out, you can request to speak to him, and all. He's getting us all that. And then he says, "Hey, is there anybody here who has a problem with foul language?" Being me, the good little Mormon boy from Utah, I was like, "Oh, this is my opportunity to convert the masses." I was like, I raised my hand. He goes, yes. So I stand up and I said, I don't mind it so much as I just prefer that, not use my Lord's name in vain, God's name in vain. Yeah. And he goes, okay, well, no, what was your name again? What company? Lima Company, Turner, 36. And he goes, okay. Yeah, for the next week, I got to hear the Lord's name used in ways that may or may not have been in conjunction with various things about my mother. It was. I was like, well, okay, I just put a target on myself.
Yeah. Yep. We have a chaplain downstairs if you want to go talk to him.
Oh, it was quite the experience. It was funny because I remember about halfway through boot camp, I was talking to another recruit, and he was talking about how he was laughing about that guy who said that back then. He didn't remember who it was,
right?
Because at that point in time we all looked the same, of course, because you shaved heads, and
gotcha.
You don't put who's who,
right?
And he starts laughing, and then the other guys start laughing about. That guy was an idiot. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah. And then I was like, actually, it was me. And they're, you. And then we had a good laugh, but at the same time, I had a couple other guys who were like, that was actually pretty ballsy, man.
I mean, like, you volunteered.
Volunteered. But yeah, it was just a constant, just, that barrage of just insanity, because you never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I made the drill instructor laugh one time Well, actually, several times, but this one in particular, he's walking up and down the squad bay, right, and he's yelling at us, telling us that we're all a bunch of horrible human beings and that we're the disaster of the Marine Corps and the Marine Corps is going to fall apart. And if any of you actually join the Marine Corps, and his job is to get you all to quit because you're all idiots. And he's walking along and he's kind of coming close to me, and he goes, we'll sit here and we'll play games all afternoon. I don't care. We can play games all afternoon. And he gets to me, and I've got kind of this half smirk going on,
Right.
trying to hold it back.
Right.
Yeah. And then he stops and he goes, Norman, do you want to say something to me? Sir, no, sir. Norman, you want to say something to me? Sir, these recruits had nowhere else to go anyway. So.
And then he just...
he bit me. I mean, he took me up to the quarterdeck and just started having me do push-ups. I mean, he had to keep pulling his hat down.
Right. Yeah, but it just was, in hindsight, worth it.
Oh, it was totally worth it. Totally worth it just to get the...
Did the other recruits, did you have them going?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I was trying to say it as low as I could so that,
Oh.
It
so they wouldn't feel bad.
Yeah, it was just kind of, it was because it was for the drill instructor,
Right.
but he heard it and it was funny.
And so, one that's a good story, but switching this. So now you're out. So when you as you transitioned out, right? Because did comedy come before or after?
Oh, way after. Well, it was funny because when I was in, I was in the Marine Corps. I got married,
Right.
and my wife. I'd been pursuing acting all the way through, school and college and stuff. And so when I was in the Marine Corps, we would have friends over all the time. And I would do skits about drill instructors all the time. And I used to do one about different styles of drill instructors and, how they would. And she would laugh at this all, and she was like, "You need to do stand up."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't even know how to get started," right? And she kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me. And after a few years, I'd been out of the Marine Corps a while. I went into construction.
Right.
I was a carpenter for many years, and finally my wife took me to a stand up show, and I'm sitting there watching this thing, and I'm like, yeah, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do this. And when I finally built up the nerve and got a couple minutes of jokes, got about a minute and a half of jokes written, found an open mic, got up there, got some half-baked giggles, and I was like, this is it.
Yeah, this is it, yeah. No,
I bet it's one of those things where you get hooked really quickly.
Oh, yeah. As soon as you
Absolutely.
get your first laugh on stage, there's just no turning back.
It's
like,
really hard to...
And it was one of those moments where it was like, it was scary, but at the same time, I never felt more at home than on that stage.
Absolutely.
And, there's just nothing that compares to it. And it was just pure joy.
So I have to say around here, at least until Jay got into the office, I kind of had a reputation of being the funny guy in the office, right?
And you still are.
So now I'm trying to adapt to a life as the straight guy. And going through my whole military career, I had a nickname, King of the One-Liners, because I've always got something, to respond to any given situation. I'm a zinger guy. But with that said, and now, with Jay, like this is just, this place is going to be an office of joy every moment because of the comedy and the humor. And I feel like, I did 27 years in uniform. I've been a civilian in the military, in a military organization now for going on 9 years now. One thing that I know is something that's so important to a military organization is humor, not taking things too seriously. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there are times when you have to take everything seriously, but if you don't have any levity in your life while you're serving, it makes it really difficult. It's a challenge. So what I wanted to ask you is, with the positivity of your messages and your content, what keeps you positive all the time? And would you have any advice to people in uniform that are serving here on trying to keep it light, quote unquote?
Try to keep it
Well,
light.
I think it's just not taking life over seriously. If
Sure.
you get too stressed out, if you take everything so seriously, like everything I do is life and death, even though in your position it probably is.
Yeah.
You still have to be comfortable enough to be able to do your job, because being stressed out is not going to get anything accomplished.
Absolutely.
I one of the criticisms people have of me is they're like, "Oh, you're just being positive isn't going to change anything." I'm saying, well, being negative isn't going to change anything either.
Right,
At least I'm having a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
At least you feel good about
Yeah.
what's going on.
And when you're relaxed and you're comfortable and you're confident, you perform better. That's why, the laughter really is, we've studied laughter psychologically and everything. And what we find is that laughter causes you to relax. And there's been the theories that the idea came from that, back when we would have to run away from saber-toothed tigers and stuff, that when you would escape and you would survive, you would laugh, because it's like,
Yeah.
you would laugh. And so in a way, it's physiologically, when you laugh, it calms you down, it relaxes you.
Well, and I've seen many times where people in stressful situations just will break out into laughter. And, I've always wondered why, but, it's a physiological response to your stress levels, I would imagine,
Yeah, and especially in the military, you develop a real dark sense of humor.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know Marines, we're horrible. I mean, you talk about cancel culture. Just hang out with a couple Marines for an afternoon, and you'll be like, Kevin Hart's never even come close to this.
Right.
So it says it's humor is essential.
Right.
To really, I mean, you need to laugh. You need to be relaxed so you can do your job properly. And being stressed out and upset and mad isn't gonna
Right.
make it any better at
Right,
all.
exactly. Like you alluded to earlier, people's remarks as far as, well, why are you always so rosy? It's not changing anything. Yeah. Well, actually it is. It's changing inside. It's changing your attitude and your position in the situation.
Yeah, it's like I just did a video a few days ago. I said that being positive and optimistic isn't really about changing everything and making everything better. It's not about expecting everything to be okay. It's knowing that regardless of what happens, that you are going to be okay. Right. That you're going to get through this. You hope that it's going to improve, but if it doesn't improve, you're still going to be okay. You're strong enough that you can deal with this. You can weather this storm. And that's really what it comes down to. And that's why I try to help people just relax and enjoy yourself. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the craziness, the insanity of it.
Make the most of what you've been dealt.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. And I think, when I going back to your experience and just in the service, I mean, I feel that a lot of veterans in general could be comics. I mean, because it's just like they've sat around and told their story. One, we're like you're so used to telling your story. You get a new assignment. You get assigned to a new. You got to move to a different post or a different base, and you got to tell your story all over again. And you're so used to telling that condensed version of your story all the time. So at some point you kind of got it down. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so like I feel like, and especially when you have a job that is high stress, you have to find that extra thing that you do, whether it's you're a carpenter, whether you play the guitar, or or you're getting out and you paint or something like that. But you have to have that creative outlet to just kind of remember that I have the mission, but I'm still a person, So like and through that, comedy was kind of like my thing that I found that was able to help me do the mission, and then where I can go and just be do this other thing, you know what I mean, and just still be happy.
Yes.
And so, to any veterans that are listening or any service members, like I encourage you just to find that extra thing, because I believe, personally, that it will definitely help you, with the mission.
Oh, absolutely. Even if you don't think that you're a creative person,
Right.
when you start doing creative things, you unlock parts of your brain, and you start thinking differently. You start seeing the world differently, and you don't have to be a great artist.
Right.
Just get out there and make something horrible. Who cares? Just create something and have fun.
Right.
If you always wanted to be a singer, start singing.
Yeah.
That's
Who cares
great
if
advice.
you sound horrible? Go sit down and watch karaoke. Tell me anyone cares. One of my favorite things one time, my sister was really into karaoke for a while, and she was like she had like this regular places she would go to like every night of the week. She would go, and she had this group that they would all hang out and do karaoke together all the time. Different bars they go to. And she invited me to come with her to a couple of these, and we're sitting at this bar, and there was a core group of about 10 of them, and then there was another 10 that would kind of come and go here and there, but this one core. And there was this one guy on this that would go every single show. She said he was there every single time, and he was horrible. He was the worst singer I've ever heard in my time. I was like, how is this possible? He sounds worse than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was so freaking entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
He was
it's just a train wreck.
He loved every moment that he was on stage. Every single word that came out of his mouth was a complete disaster, and it was beautiful because he was so committed and he just loved it. And he knew he was bad, but he didn't care. He just loved doing it. And I saw that. I was just like, that's the kind of attitude you really need to have when you do anything. Is just like, yeah, I'm horrible at it. But I'm having a great time.
Right. That's great. That's great.
There are people that are writing this down right now, like, be horrible.
Well, and you do when you start. Well, when you start doing comedy, you have no idea what you're doing. You
I
get
still
up there,
don't.
you think, you get up there and you think, oh yeah, I make my friends laugh all the time. All right, here we go. Okay, well now I'll try to do that in front of a group of strangers at 8:00 and again at 10.
Right.
It's a whole different world.
Yeah. Right, and they're already upset because they paid $40 for parking. They got a sitter. They got all this other stuff that they need to take care of. Oh yeah, it can be fun.
Yeah, but you just start doing it. You just whatever it is you're going to do, just know you're going to be bad at it. You just get up there and you just be bad at it.
And either you'll get better or you won't. But then at least you'll know.
Yeah. Like I said, this one guy, he knew he was never going to go anywhere. He was never going to be famous as a singer. But, man, when he had his 2 minutes on stage,
That's his time.
He was going to knock it out.
Yeah.
See, and the few occasions where I actually have stood up, not stand-up comic, but stood up and tried to be funny.
Right.
I usually slip into self-deprecation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ripping up. That makes people laugh, right?
Yeah, it
right?
does. We all when we all make fun of ourselves and our shortcomings. Yeah, that's.
See, I'm really good at that, so that's why I try to stick with it.
You trying to stick with that?
Yeah.
Be nice to yourself.
You have to be. It's kind of funny because part of what's happened in culture is that it used to be self-deprecating, making fun of yourself was a big thing to do. I mean, Jerry Lewis.
Oh, right.
I mean, that was self-deprecating humor was just part of the tricks in the bag of the comic. But it's funny because the way culture has gone now, even that people would get upset.
Right.
Because their attitude, it's like you do jokes about your weight.
Yeah.
Like I used to do jokes about being fat a lot.
I remember those years.
And I would have people who would get mad at me.
Yes, they would.
Because I did jokes about being fat. I'm like, I'm talking about me. Yeah, but you can be applied to others who are in the same condition. So you're making fun of them, but you're saying it's through you. So like people can take everything and twist it. So now whatever it is you said, they're going to find a way to make it horrible.
They're going to take your experience and make it their own.
Yeah. They're going to say, you say that about you, but what you're really saying is about this person too. And it's like, wow.
Yeah, wow. Okay, you showed up to a comedy club without a sense of humor. Oh, no.
Right.
Oh, no.
Well, it was funny because being an MC, that's where you learn how to be a comic.
This is true. So if you're listening, be a host and MC first.
Yes. And because that's where you learn how to start in front of an audience cold, and you get them going and everything. And it was in these days that I developed my favorite opening line as a comedian. I use this all the time now. It's become even more relevant. Is that I tell people, I said, look, we get into comedy because we love people. We love entertaining. We love making people laugh. This is what we do. This is who we are. And so I just want you to know that at any point in time tonight, you are offended by anything that is said or done by me or any other comedians, please, from the bottom of my heart, please know. It's because you're stupid. You probably shouldn't be here.
That's great.
I've seen you do this intro many times.
So we're going to start wrapping it up because I don't want to keep you here all day. I know you got a gig and you probably want to take a little bit of a break before you go over there. Mm-hmm. So I was looking on your website and I saw a concept, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but I'd like you to explain it a little bit if you'd like. You're nobody special.
Yes.
I want to talk about that because it was... And I read it. I read the paragraph there, and it talked about exactly what I was feeling when I read that statement. So I know exactly what it means. But then you turned it around, and I was like, okay, I get it. But if you could, for the audience, explain that concept a little bit.
Funny. Well, the video that came from it was interesting because I was making a happy birthday video for somebody, just wishing their friend happy birthday, and so I had the camera, everything set up in my backyard, and finished up with that one, and then I was going to make another video for somebody else, and I thought, well, I'm going to change so I have a different background, and so I go to move the camera, and when I went to grab it, I hit the record button. So I'm looking at the camera, and it started recording, and I thought, oh, why not? I'm already here.
Yeah.
And so I was already in character, and so I started talking about how life is, everybody's stressed out. All this, you might think that, the world's crashing in and the universe hates you and both things. But really, you're nothing special.
Right.
We're all going through the same thing.
Right.
Every single one of us has got all these problems that you have in your life. We may not be going to the same degree or going through at the same time, but every single one of us is having the same experience. This is all horrible for everybody. So just calm down.
Right. Yeah.
And it was funny because I finished off the video, and one rule that I have is that I learned from that video in particular was that the more ridiculously stupid, the more likely I need to post it.
Right.
Yeah.
So as soon as I'm done with the video, if I go, I don't like that, that's the one I post as quickly as I can get it up.
Counterintuitive.
And so I posted that video, and all of a sudden people just start quoting, "Hey, you're nothing special. I love this." And I'm going, "What? What are they?" And then I had people would get mad at me. How dare you say this? God loves everyone, and what is going on here? And the intent of it is really that, like I said, we're all going through the same experience.
Yeah.
You're not singled out by the universe. The universe does not hate you. God does not hate you. Nobody hates you. Most people don't even think about you enough to even have an opinion about you. So what do you care?
Right. And we're all this together. I mean,
everybody has bills. Everybody has health problems. Everybody has problems with their relationships. Everything that you think is just you, that you're the only one who has had all this experience. No, you're nothing special. We've all had the same. We're all going through the same crap. And that has become one of my, I don't know if you had your catchphrase.
Yeah.
That's one of my first ones was, "You're nothing special," which I've had people who I didn't want to make T-shirts with this thing, but people kept begging me to make them, so now we do, and it's one of our best-selling T-shirts.
Exactly. When you're a comic and you have merch, you gotta.
Oh, it's a great message. It really is. I mean, you just have to look just beyond
the veil.
When you understand what's being really said, it's like, okay, I'm not being singled out. Nobody hates me. This is just life.
Yeah. And it's a great way to identify the people with no humor. Like, you're nothing special. If they don't laugh, they're obviously the enemy.
Yeah. Well, I had.
That's bold, Tim.
No, I'm
You're
just
the
kidding.
enemy. No, just
So I had a kid in I think it was junior high school, wore the T-shirt to school, and they made him go home
no.
and took it off. And a teacher came to his defense, and she actually bought a T-shirt and started wearing it herself.
Wow, good for her.
And so the kid they let the kid wear it because she explained, look, you got to watch the video, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
because they thought it was being negative, and it was like, oh no, that's the brilliant thing I think of my character is the ability to say horrible things in a very fun, positive way.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And just judging by the content, I mean, I'm sure you get every I got to watch to the end. A lot of times people are like, oh, skip. You're riveting.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're riveting.
Yeah, because he finds himself in random locations, and he's just,
That's
just because honestly, okay, real quick, because I know we got to wrap this up, but like honestly, there would be times where you're in the desert or just in the middle of the salt flats, and I'm like, it was like one of the first videos I was like, I thought you were like stranded. You know what I'm saying? I was like, because I was just like, oh. I text. I was like, "Yo, I don't think Rodney's doing that great." Like, it's like, and then all of a sudden it started popping off for you, and I think that's awesome, man. And so, and it just this is great, and I'm just couldn't be more happy for you, man. So,
thank you.
I hope you have a good show tonight. How long are you in town for?
Just here on the Cape. Just here for the night.
Okay, all right.
But I'll be back.
Yeah, you're always out here.
I love it out here.
If how can people find you if they want to anything you want to plug?
Yeah, RodneyNorman.com. It's got all my links to all my other stuff. I'm on all 4 of the major platforms.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Okay, yeah, you'll find him.
MySpace.
Yes, I still have a MySpace account.
LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn. Absolutely. I have 2 LinkedIn accounts.
Pinterest.
Pinterest. I do have a Pinterest account.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. No, you can find it RodneyNorman.com. And man, just for me to you, this is actually like just real fun. Just the fact that you were definitely one of my comedy mentors. Coming up, and honestly, it means a lot that you could just show up here and be here today. And now here I am, clear across on the other side of the ocean, and just it's crazy that it's surreal that I get to talk to you, and this is my job right now. So I couldn't be more happy, just and excited for you, man. So thank you.
I like to tell people, I'm honored, I'm humbled, and it's a pleasure to be a part of your journey, my friend. Thank you for having me.
The Marine Mellow Fellow,
Ronnie.
Yes.
Keep being awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you too, my friend.
Thank you.
Oh man, this is great. This is great. This is a good day. This is a good day. Thanks, Rob.
All right. Before we go, here's a preview of our other podcast, Chevrons. From junior enlisted to senior leaders and those in between, we interview notable individuals to address everyday challenges and hurdles the enlisted force faces. In this episode, Chief Master Sergeant Chuck Powers, National Guard Bureau Legislative Liaison, serving at the Pentagon, joins us in a discussion about balancing work and personal time, taking advantage of opportunities, and the importance of mentorship. Chief Powers also talks about how he ended up in such a unique position, working in our nation's capital, and how his role as legislative liaison impacts both the NGB and Air National Guard overall.
So it was kind of, I was trying to find my way as a young airman. So it was difficult to really understand what a work-life balance was, because when I joined the Air Force, it was after September 11th happened, it was all about being ready and getting ready to deploy. And guess what happened when you deployed? You deployed, and that was a constant. That was just constant. You were just totally focused on your deployment at the time. You came back from deployment, they gave you probably a week or 2 off, and you were getting ready for your next deployment. So the first few years, I didn't know until after the fact, until I got to New York, looking back, I didn't really have that work-life balance. I didn't give myself the time I needed to really find myself and who I was. That took some time, and I had some really good mentors in New York, some pretty good leaders that, you know, made me realize, hey, yeah, you're great at what you're doing, but what are you doing for yourself, and what are you doing to take care of yourself? Where is that work-life balance? And that's the first time I really heard that. I remember a chief at the time, you know, we were coming back from our second deployment, or actually my first deployment with the New York Guard, and he says, what are you doing for yourself? You have been nonstop. And he made me realize that. And so that work-life balance didn't start until about my 8th year in the military. And what I really started doing is one, I started with, hey, I'm gonna have this you know, regimented schedule of I'm not staying late unless obviously the mission needs me to stay late. I'm gonna have a gym schedule, and I'm going back to school. I need to really develop my educational skills a little bit more as well. And that's how I started doing that, and really separating work life and personal life, because you know, that chief always told me, he says, hey, this job is going to be here tomorrow. What are you doing, and then what are you doing 20 years from now? What you do now could dictate some of those things that you do 20 years from now. And I am so glad he had that conversation.
Thanks for listening to The Seagull. Enjoy what is left of the summer. See you back here for the August RSD. Did you know that August is National Sandwich Month? Purportedly, the sandwich got its name from 18th century aristocrat, the Earl of Sandwich, who was a big fan of the tasty and convenient meal. Although named in the 18th century, the concept of wrapping meat or other fillings in some sort of bread has been around nearly as long as bread has been a thing. According to popular lore, NASA astronaut John Young smuggled a corned beef sandwich on board of Gemini 3. He and fellow astronaut Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Gus Grissom shared the sandwich during the mission, much to the chagrin of NASA officials. Amused, Grissom later said of the event, "After the flight, our superiors at NASA let us know in no uncertain terms that non-man-rated corned beef sandwiches were out for future space missions. But John's deadpan offer of this strictly non-regulation goodie remains one of the highlights of our flight for me." For more news from the 102nd Intelligence Wing, visit our website at www.102iw.ang.af.mil/links or search for 102IW on any major social media platform.